Warning, this show contains childish adult content and is intended for immature, mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. The views spoken are ours and ours alone, not those of any other bugger. If you're easily offended, we strongly suggest finding another podcast. Everybody neat and pretty, then on with the show.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Dis After Dark. I am Nick.
I'm Paul D.
I'm Paul W.
And I'm Chris R.
Chris R. And it's not just the four of us today. We do have an additional guest. No Craig. So again, if you wanted to listen to Craig, switch off. But we have a guest who's better than Craig anyway. Can you please reveal yourself?
Sure thing. It's Tony Cortese of Silver Pin Studios and the soon to be released documentary, The Dreamfinders.
Wow. Another big gun. We just keep aiming them up and firing them down. We're doing good. What we like to do, Anthony, is we do like to start the show with a drink. So if you've got one, great. If not, we'll pass this around. Right. So who wants to go first?
I've got a bottle of Hairy Pig Classic Cider.
Hairy Pig?
Hairy Pig, yeah.
Oh.
And Disney Connection is the Hairy Pigs. Cheers.
Okay. Mr. Washington?
I'm on the last of the fruity cider, so I'm going to have to go and do a beer run soon.
Well, I'm sitting here in Disney's Hollywood Studios, and I just got myself an ice cold beer, and I'm sitting down with my feet up right outside the entrance to Rock and Roller Coaster. So I can't complain right now.
One of my preferred locations. I have a beer as well. I have a Goose Island Indian Pale Ale. So cheers, everybody. Hang on. There we go. I had to move that away from the computer, otherwise it was going to mess things up. Chris, drinking.
This is not your normal Disney podcast, is it?
No. Sorry, no. We apologise. We apologise in advance. Mr. Ripley.
Oh, I'm bringing up the rear. I'm just the designated driver, so I've got a cup of Rosie Lee.
Holy cow, that is fruity.
Yeah.
And it's 5.9%, so it's also pretty strong. But more importantly, it's fruity. Right. Sorry, is it Anthony? Is it Tony?
Tony's fine.
Okay, well, whatever you prefer. But so you have already told us the two big things. One, the fantastic documentary you're behind, but secondly, the fact that you're in one of the greatest places on earth. So I think, for our listeners that may not know too much about the documentary, and more importantly, yourself as a person, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure thing. Well, I think like many of us, I've been a Disney fan, for most of my life, and came here many times as a kid. But it really wasn't until most recently, I would say, the last maybe 10 years when I started taking my daughter. As when she turned, I think it was 10 or 11 years old, was the first time her and I went together. Was when the bug really began to manifest itself within me. I've always been a creative type of individual. I've been involved in my career as a filmmaker. Didn't always start as a filmmaker. It started in web design, and kind of evolved creatively into filmmaking. And as I began to enjoy, what Walt Disney World was all about, and really begin to see that it was way more than just a place for kids, was when my interest in this documentary, The Dreamfinders, which we're very nearly getting ready to release May 15th, has been something that has kind of been very close to my heart, and it's something that I've always kind of in the last few years have been kind of dreaming about doing, really telling the story of what what is Disney magic, and what is it that draws so many people, not only people vacationing, but people who come down to live in Central Florida, to be close to the Disney parks. What is it that causes that to happen? When I started this project, I never thought in a million years that I would be one of the people who would actually be moving to Central Florida. And I talked to you guys literally 3 days after arriving here in Florida, after driving from New York City. I am now I don't even have a place to live yet, literally. I drove down here 3 days ago from New York and arrived here. I'm staying with my cousin who lives in Celebration, which, if you guys don't know what Celebration is, it's Disney. Okay, cool. It's always kind of been a fascination of mine, this town of Celebration, originally built by Disney, though Disney does not own Celebration anymore. Though they do have members of the Disney executive team who sit on the board of directors of the community of Celebration to ensure that it stays true to what the original ideology of what the town of Celebration was supposed to be, and that is to be a town of community, which is kind of what Walt Disney's original kind of dream of what Walt Disney World was going to be. So here I stand. No home, no car, just my endeavors and my dreams until I find a place to live. But I am closing in on moving into the town of Celebration and being a permanent Florida resident. And I can't even tell you how absolutely thrilled and elated I am to be part of this community now. And on the heels of my documentary to be released on folks who actually do just that. It's just amazing to me that I never imagined that I would be one at the end of this run. We've been working on this for about 2 years. What a great end, to the story. And here I stand, ready to start my new adventure as part of the Disney community. So,
well,
I could honestly end this podcast episode now and be satisfied with it. I mean, that was amazing. That story in 3 or 4 minutes of you is phenomenal.
It's incredible to me too, because it's something that I've always dreamed about. I worked in New York City for a major web company. I've worked in web design, I think I told you guys, for the last 20 years of my career, but really have been living in Connecticut, working, commuting back and forth in and out of New York City. And New York City is a terrific place. It's an amazing place to visit. But when you're commuting in and out of there every day, it's very, very trying. It's difficult. It's like, for lack of a better term, it's a grind. And just dreaming about how amazing would it be to come down and actually live down here in Walt Disney World. When I was in the military service my younger years, and they stationed me in Hawaii, of all places. And after I left Hawaii, I had really no tolerance for the cold weather. And as I'm sure you guys know, New York City is it's not the warmest place in the wintertime. It could be very brutally cold. And just knowing here that I am down here in Orlando right now, literally on my 3rd day after driving down, that I'm not thinking about going back to New York. I'm thinking about getting that house so I can start my life down here again. And it's just absolutely thrilling to be doing that. I've gotten so much support from my family and friends. It was a big move, big move. It's not something that happened overnight. But at some point I had to make the decision: am I going to do this or am I not going to do this? And when all the stars are aligned and all the pieces are falling into place without you trying, that's the universe kind of telling you now's the time. And that's where I'm at right now.
And Tony, would you say the move was inspired by the movie then, or the documentary?
It absolutely was facilitated by it. I don't know that I would have been in that really committed mindset had I not been on the cusp of releasing this documentary, and I've had so much incredible positive response from the Disney community. It's something that I've always dreamed about doing. I mean, I'm an annual pass holder. I had come down here probably 5 or 6 times a year. I was spending, pretty much all of my spending money outside of living expenses and so forth, coming down to Florida to vacation down in Walt Disney World, and I just always dreamed of, what would it be like if I was down here and I didn't have to go back to New York, and I can just kind of stay down here and continue curating my passion, which my passion now is really filmmaking. And I mean, look, when you're down here, there's always something new going on. It's a filmmaker's dream. I love to shoot time lapse. I love to, the whole creative process of what people, families and how special of a moment, people plan their whole lives to come down here, and they're lucky if they make it down here once or twice in a lifetime. And to be down here and to be able to come to the parks, kind of whenever you want to, it's honestly, it really is a dream. It's surreal for me right now. It's really not even become a reality. Part of me is thinking, when I have to get on the plane and head back to New York, but sitting here in the studios talking to you guys right now is great, and I'm really excited to be here.
Well, I mean, so much. But I'm not really sure where to kind of even go from what you said so far. However, what I will say is that, of course, if you are interested in a dream holiday, there is somebody you can speak to.
Who's that?
There is.
And that's our friend Wendy at Magical Travels.
Really?
Magical Journeys Travel.com. She's one of our sponsors. So what I did there was took a really good bit of audio from yourself and turn that into a lead into my advert.
Seamless, absolutely seamless.
I don't know how I do it. I don't know how I do it.
Call you.
We don't have.
You guys are clever.
We don't have segues in the UK. We're not allowed them. But it is definitely our version of a segue. And if you have been inspired by what you've just heard just then and want to visit Disney World, then there's no better person to speak to, in our opinion, of course, than Wendy, who you can find at wpmagicjourneys.com or on Twitter at wpmagicjourneys. And, of course, mention Dis After Dark when you speak to her, and she'll love you for it and give you $25 off your deposit. So there you go, Wendy at Magical Journeys. Anyway, that's a segue, and now we go back into it.
I
think we've talked before about Celebration on this show. Have we all been to Celebration?
Yeah, been there.
Yeah.
Visited it.
Paul, Chris, you been there?
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of the Truman Show from the Jim Carrey film.
Yeah, very, very Stepford Wives-esque as well.
It's so funny. It's so funny you say that, because that was the first thought that went into my head the first time I drove through Celebration. Was it's like a perfect community, as the Truman Show is. Like they do in the Magic Kingdom in Christmas time. Celebration does snow in downtown Celebration for Christmas. They ship in busloads of kids for Halloween to trick or treat in town. In autumn, they have the leaves fall off the trees. I mean, it is just. I mean, I've not seen or experienced any of this because I've only been down here for a few days, but just knowing that that's what I have to look forward to is just really tremendous. Central Florida is vast. It's a relatively big place, and some of the neighborhoods aren't the greatest neighborhoods, and some are better than others. But my goal was moving down here was I wanted to be as close to the Disney parks as possible, and based on some of the places that I'm hoping that I'll be living in the town of Celebration is I'll be about 10 minutes from the Magic Kingdom. Hop in the car and I'll be there. And what a thrill that is. It really is. I think about how, the different types of creative outlets I'll have just to be down here. You know, I love shooting time lapse, so you'll see a lot of the time lapse in the documentary. And you know, most of what I've shot is it's just beautiful. But I've always thought to myself, it would be great to wake up in the morning and to say, oh yeah, the clouds look great today. I should go over to, you know, Epcot and shoot some time lapse of you know, whatever, just because the weather conditions are great. And to be able to have that flexibility is just, it's just so exciting. I can't say enough about it. It's scary, it's exciting. It's a place that people dream of coming, and I'm here, and I can't wait for you guys to see what I've done with this documentary, because I think it's going to touch the hearts of a lot of people. It's really about the Disney community. It's about the Disney magic. It's about what is so attractive. Why is this place so attractive? I mean, why are we grown adults drawn to this place? And it's because everyone is so excited here all the time. It's almost like a drug. You know, when you walk into the Magic Kingdom, when you walk into Epcot, that wave of energy that hits you. And it's just something that you can't find anywhere else. And this is a lot of what we tried to figure out in the documentary, talking to a lot of different people and talking to a lot of the bloggers and podcasters that we were involved with. You know, we tried to figure out what is it? Can we put our finger on one thing that really is the magic bullet that causes people to want to kind of just stop what they're doing and you know, uproot and come down here. And I think that's it in a nutshell. It's the energy. It's such an enormous group of positive energy when you walk into these parks. It's infectious, and everybody wants to be here.
So, Tony, what was the original kind of thing that sparked the idea for the documentary? Where did it all begin?
Well, I have to say, you know, when I came with my daughter all the time when she was, when I started taking her when she was 10 or 11 years old, as a creative type, I was always paying attention to the small details. And, you know, when I would go with her, I wasn't really able to focus on so many of those things because, you know, I was too busy on, you know, doing what she wanted to do. And you know, it was all about her when we would come. And over time, I would just pay attention. You know, I see things in kind of video clips. I see transitions as I'm walking through the parks. I see something that looks like it would really look beautiful on film. And I wasn't able to really act on those ideas because, you know, I was with her, and not for any, you know, I mean, it was, you know, being with her was really kind of what helped fuel my my passion for this. And it came to the point where, you know, when she was in you know, senior in high school, you know, she couldn't really take the time off like we used to. I mean, it was different, you know, when you could take the kids down there when they're in like 4th grade, it's like you can take them out of school for a couple of days. It's not a big deal. As they get older, it's not as easy to do that. So as she kind of, you know, I mean, and she's, I mean, look, she's down here right now. She works, she's part of the Disney College program. We can talk about that. But there was a period when, you know, she lost a little bit of interest, and my interest was really being fueled. So I started coming down here by myself with my camera gear, and I started really acting on all of those ideas that I had over those years, you know, taking shots, certain types of, you know, time lapses in Cinderella Castle and around the Disney parks. And I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to see the day in the life of Walt Disney World time lapse that I did. It's on YouTube. It's gotten a tremendous web traffic. It's almost, I think it's over 500,000 views at this point. And it was when I went down there for a week by myself, and I just shot time lapse all week. It was like I acted on all of these ideas and dreams that I had over the years. And when I saw the type of response that I was getting from the people in the Disney community, that was what kind of said, okay, now is the time to do this documentary that you've had buried in the back of your head. And I had, like most Disney fans, Disney super fans, if you will, have, been on many of the Disney podcasts. I'm on InsideTheMagic.net. I used to listen to Ricky Briganti's podcast all the time, the Disney theme park blogs, and so on and so forth. And I started reaching out to some of these folks like Ricky Briganti, John Sakari, Big Fat Panda, Lou Mangello, and these are people who are very, very embedded in the Disney community. And I reached out to them and really wanted to get their story about what brought them down here. How did you guys make it down here, and how can you live down here? I mean, how do you generate money to live down here by just doing a podcast? And I found out that the money will come when you focus your passion in something that you really enjoy doing. And they're all very successful, and they're all very happy, and they live down here just like I now live down here. And it's pretty amazing to see how their ideas turned into something that the community that follows them and that follows you guys, they just want a taste of the Disney parks. These are people like yourselves, or you guys are in the UK. People want to feel like they're in the parks. They just want a taste of it in any way that they could grab it. And that is kind of what we're doing, where we want to be able to give people a taste of the parks. It was very important to me to make this documentary very cinematic. It had to be visually beautiful. I wanted people to understand, even non-Disney fans, people who didn't really understand Disney, I wanted them to understand, to see through cinematic, video that, wow, this is really something special. I kind of get it now why these people want to be down here. And that's a lot of what I brought into this thing. So it's been a long time coming, but it's something that didn't happen easily, but here we are.
So Tony, did you have to work with Disney to get this made, or?
I couldn't. Disney doesn't want to have anything to do with anybody other than Disney, really, unless you have something to offer them. They really don't. I mean, they understand. Look, we're an outlet for the Disney community, but originally what I wanted to do was interview, legacy cast members and get their stories. And they just, I went through all of the, loopholes, and they just did not want to really have anything to do with me. They're very aware of this project. They know, because I went back and forth with them for a while on trying to get access to some of their legacy cast members, legacy being the cast members who have been here for 30 plus years, the ones who could really, you're working for the company for 30 years, that, you must have something really important to say. And they were very protective, and rightly so. This is there is no other brand that I can think of other than maybe Apple that is so protective of its brand. And the Disney brand is something that is, it's so unique, as I'm sure you guys know. So I had to kind of switch directions when I realized that they really weren't going to let me go and interview. They don't know really who I am. I'm not, National Geographic or the Discovery Channel. So, I had to be creative. So I reached out to, the bloggers and the podcasters who are truly embedded within the Disney community. And also got Ron Schneider, who was the original Dreamfinder for the Journey into Imagination, Figment's Journey into Imagination. And that's kind of how I came up with the title Dreamfinders. And he is the original Dreamfinder. And it's just really, really breathtaking to hear some of his insight to Disney and what makes it so special. I'm just so excited for you guys to get a piece of that.
Now, I just need to just stop you there just a second, Tony, because just need to do another pause for the calls. And Mr. Washington, I'm gonna ask if you've been paying attention to the podcast so far tonight. Where is Tony right now?
Hollywood Studios
Where's Hollywood Studios?
in Orlando,
As part of what?
Walt Disney World.
Walt Disney World. And where is he? Is he there right now?
He is.
Like today?
He's there today.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us very nicely onto our second sponsor, the amazing
I didn't
podcast
see that coming.
known as WDW Today, the longest-running Disney Parks podcast of over 10 years and nearly 15,000 episodes. And for those like me, where the day we're recording this, Sunday the 3rd of April, is the most holy day of the year, WrestleMania Sunday, they've just dropped a new episode starring Eric Bischoff, which will make sense to about 2 people that listen to this podcast, but I, for one, am very excited. So if you don't listen already, then please download WDW Today, find them on iTunes or www.today.com. Yeah.
Nick, I spoke to Logan earlier.
You spoke to Logan earlier? What did he say?
Hello, you guys there?
Yes. We had a little bit of interference, I think.
Yes, there was a little bit. I think when more than one person are talking at once, it gets hard to hear.
Okay. Chris, what was you saying?
I was saying I spoke to Logan the other day, and he said that because we're the UK's #1 Disney podcast,
We are.
his listening.
Wow, congratulations, guys. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yes, sorry, Chris.
I say his actual listening figures have gone up. So how about that?
Wow. What greater advert for either podcast than that. And actually, we'll give you an update on our figures a bit later on. But at the same time, I'm still so transfixed with the documentary and Tony's story, especially. Tony, one question I've got to ask about you looking to Celebration. I mean, I can understand, wanting to go to Celebration because of the history, the Disney connection, the locale, the Truman Show-like nature of the place. But I do have to ask, did the yearly Pie Festival, the world-renowned one, have any influence on your decision?
I'm sorry. It was the yearly what festival?
Pie.
I'm not familiar with that.
Well, get to know.
There you go. Treats in store.
Maybe you guys can school me a little bit.
No, not really. But it's apparently very, very good. But if you're going to make yourself known in Celebration, you might want to check yourself before you wreck yourself on your lack of pie knowledge.
I'm sorry. I'm not following what you guys are asking.
No, it's fine. It's mostly nonsensical. So with the Dream Fund, you've mentioned a few people that you've got to be involved with this project. Was there anyone in particular whose story really stood out and maybe had more of an influence on your current change than maybe somebody else?
Well, I have to say, out of everyone in the group of people who were the primary subjects of the documentary, Panda John S.T.R.I.K.E was the first guy that I reached out to, and he is truly down here. I mean, everyone's down here because they love it, but he is down here because he just wanted to be part of he is a true Disney fan, when I tell you. And he was the one who kind of connected me with Lou Mangello and Ricky Briganti and Ron Schneider. He said, hey, you might want to take a look at Ron Schneider, and hey, you might want to take a look at Ricky. And, these guys didn't know me, and John didn't know me, but John, Panda's the type of guy who, when you talk to him, you immediately, his personality is very infectious. when you talk to him, you just feel his positive energy. And he was kind of the one who, was the facilitator in coordinating the other folks who were in the documentary and kind of validating me to them. And, really, if it wasn't for him, I'm not sure that the documentary would be what it is, just because, he had those relationships already. I was reaching out to people I'd been listening to on the internet, Inside the Magic and Lou Mangello's WDW Radio. And these are folks who, we all kind of know and listen to, but to be able to reach out to somebody and say, hey, I want to film you for a documentary, they don't really know me. But John really didn't know me either. Panda didn't know me, but he just believed in what I was trying to do, and he was able to, for lack of a better term, convince the others that this was something that was going to be worth their time. And thank goodness they did, because when I look back at what I've got, it is exactly what I wanted it to be. It's the story that I wanted it to be. It has the visual, cinematic beauty that I wanted it to be, and it tells the story of the passion of people who come down because they want to be close to the Disney parks. Walt Disney always wanted this place to be a place of community. That was his big thing. Everything about what he was dreaming Walt Disney World to be. And poor guy never got a chance to see it, but his passion for what this place was supposed to be was so big that when we come down here now, it's turned into something. There really is a living, breathing community of people. You come down here, you'll never be alone. There'll always be somebody to talk to. You'll always find a friend, and it's not too hard to be able to get hooked up into the community of people who are down here. They're everywhere. And, if it wasn't for John, for Panda, I'm not sure that this documentary would be what it is today. I mean, it would be in some capacity. But I really wanted to be able to connect with people who followed their dreams to come down here. Followed their dreams to do what they wanted to do. I mean, Lou Mangello was a lawyer, right? He was a chief technology officer for a medical imaging company. He was married. He had children. He picked up his stuff, and his wife believed in what he wanted to do, and he came down to Florida. It sounds crazy. His friends must have thought he was nuts, but he did it, and now he's one of the most successful podcasters down here. So.
Yeah, we're definitely doing something wrong on this show because, guys, I don't know if you've looked at your recent Dis After Dark pay slip, but mine's looking quite bare. So,
you didn't get you guys didn't get the check this week?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Oh, okay. No. Should be there any day.
Oh, thank you. I'll look forward to receiving.
Good, I've already spent it.
Now, Tony, I mean, when anyone takes on a project like a film, like a documentary, I imagine that you reach out to so many people to ask for their involvement. I mean, obviously, I understand our invites lost in the email space, but was there any major names that you had really hoped to try and get for the documentary that you weren't able to?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was. I could tell you straight up, there was two guys that I wanted to be in this documentary. And I couldn't do it without the permission of Disney, and this is why I kind of went through all the loopholes that I did. There was a gentleman that I met at the restaurant in the Polynesian Resort. If you guys know of a restaurant by the name of Ohana, one of the most famous restaurants within Disney. There was a gentleman I met one night at dinner. He was a legacy cast member. He'd been there for 35 years. The guy's name is Cliff. And he was my server one night, and he told me that he'd been there for 35 years, and he served Walt Disney's wife and children, and he had conversations with them. I mean, 35 years is a long time, especially working for the Disney company. When I met him, I instantly knew, I said, I need to get this guy in this documentary. It was him, and then there was another person who is the ragtime piano player on Main Street at Casey's Corner in the Magic Kingdom. His name is Jim Omahundro. And Jim also is a legacy cast member. And, when you hear Jim play, first of all, he's got the fastest piano chops you'll ever hear. He's very, very talented. But he just exudes Disney magic. I mean, he is Disney magic. And I said to myself, if I could get him to talk about Disney magic, that would really be the icing on the cake. And I went through loophole after loophole, but Disney really didn't want to have anything to do with it. They're so protective. They just do not really want anyone doing anything, with regard to some of their brand, their cast members, unless they have the control. And I would have been happy, honestly, to give them a portion of the control just so I could get them on camera. But, if you ask me if I had any regrets, I would definitely say the only regrets I have, and this is not anything that I did wrong. This is just how Disney operates. They don't let anybody interview their cast members, unless you're National Geographic or something like that, So, yeah, I wish I was able to get some of those legacy cast members to talk about the Disney magic, but I think we hit the nail right on the head, and I'll be excited for you guys to tell me what you think when you get a chance to see the documentary.
And I know you mentioned it earlier, but if you could just tell our listeners again the actual release platform of the documentary.
So we're releasing on VHX.com, which is a very high quality streaming platform. We're also going to be offering DVD. I'm still trying to kind of work through that because, the VHX platform doesn't support, selling DVDs, but we're working with a third party right now to do that. The release date's going to be May 15th. You'll be able to go to dreamfindersmovie.com. That's dreamfindersmovie.com. And that will redirect you to the VHX platform where you will be able to pre-order the movie for $9.99. We actually have a promo code that I'd like to offer to your listeners, which is New Year 2016. So if you go to the website and you want to pre-order the movie and you plug in the promo code New Year 2016, you'll get $1 off of the documentary. And you'll get a really high quality streaming, online streaming experience. And we will at some point offer, an outlet so that, viewers can order the DVD, which, if you're watching it on DVD, the quality, I'm sure, will be a little bit better than it will be streaming. The VHX does about as good of a job as you could stream online. They're very, very high quality. So, and this is, again, something that was very important to me. I needed to convey, when you're walking through the Disney parks, those visuals, those primary colors, those beautiful panoramas that you see as you're walking through a Disney park, it was important for me to capture that so that the story of what Disney magic is really was able to hit home, not only to big Disney fans, but to people who are not necessarily Disney fans, people who just don't get it. What is the attraction? It's just another amusement park. No. It's not just another amusement park. It's a state of mind. You walk into this place, it's a state of mind. You immediately become part of the show. That's what Walt Disney wanted. That's why, when you're walking through the park, that's considered being on stage. They call the cast members for a reason. They're part of the cast. They're part of the show. And you're part of the show. When you come in here, you're part of the show, and that's kind of what we wanted to convey.
No, I just wanted to double check because I'm sure I heard you correctly, but I just needed to double check on something. So you're saying for the listeners of this podcast, for just $8.99, they get a whole documentary, not half a documentary. This isn't like part one. They get the whole documentary for $8.99.
That's absolutely right. The running time is approximately an hour and I want to say it's about an hour and 15 minutes, give or take a minute or two. And for $8.99, using the promo code New Year 2016, you can pre-order, and we'll be able to view it the day it's released on May 15th.
Well, I've not had a bigger bargain this year, except maybe that Tron PlayStation game that I was plugging yesterday on the Facebook page. But otherwise, I mean, I don't know anything that's probably going to give you that much enjoyment for that kind of value. So, well, I'm sold. I'm definitely going to be pre-ordering my copy tonight.
Yep, looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Seen the trailer? It's good.
Have you guys seen the trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seen the trailer. Looks great.
Yeah, the trailer's great. You know, I really wanted to hold back a lot of the really special time-lapse sequences. I just want to also make sure that everybody knows that, you know, just like you guys, you know, this podcast is made possible by a sponsor of yours. You know, we had a Kickstarter campaign. We raised a pretty decent amount of money. But my primary sponsor is MEI Travel, Mouse Fan Travel. And Becky of Mouse Fan was really instrumental in helping me gain access to some of the, you know, some of the incredible views, like particularly in the Contemporary Resort. I was able to spend a few nights in a Magic Kingdom theme park view at the Contemporary to shoot some absolutely epic time lapses of sunrises over the Magic Kingdom, sunsets over the Magic Kingdom, you know, in time lapse format. And, you know, I think those things are what's going to really, you know, kind of raise some eyebrows. It's important to me, again, to have those really beautiful cinematic shots where you can see the beauty, because that's part of what is the attraction here, right? This place is beautiful to look at. I mean, it's designed with every I dotted, every T crossed. It's made like that for a reason. You know, the purpose of this place is it's just a beautiful place to look at. It's a beautiful place to listen to. And, you know, music is a big part of it too. And we have some really terrific music that is going to accompany some of the beautiful cinematic shots and some of the stories that we tell about, you know, finding your passion and coming down to Walt Disney World and just being part of the Disney community.
And Tony, so was most of the actual documentary shot in the parks then?
It was almost primarily shot in the parks. Yes, we interviewed in the parks, and then we followed our subjects around for 3 days in the parks. We watched the fireworks. We had fan sightings. We talked about what makes this place so special. I mean, you see the people who live here in their element and experiencing what they do, you know, as their kind of daily lives of living in Walt Disney World. And we follow them around, and you see everything from morning to night. Three full days of morning to night and everything that we did during that time. And then we have impromptu interviews and sit-down interviews where we're really digging into what makes them tick and why they followed their dreams to come here.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. I mean, luckily, we haven't got too long to go, just over a month or so before the release of that documentary. But no, I mean, I think it sounds brilliant.
You guys are going to love it. You guys are going to love it. I did this for you guys, but it was also, again, very important that I wanted to, because, you know, like all of us, I think people who have a passion for Disney, you know, people who don't have a passion for Disney, or who may have come down here with their kids once or twice in their lives, don't really get why this is such an attractive place. Why aren't you going to the Caribbean? Why don't you go to Brazil? Why don't you go to California? Well, I do, but, you know, this place offers everything. It's got the best entertainment. It's got the best service ever. And I think I told you guys I lived and worked in New York City for many years. Nowhere else other than Disney offers the quality, the attention to detail in everything. There's nothing that is overlooked here. it's just incredible. And then when you go to anywhere else, it's just nothing could hold a candle to this place, because Disney has done everything in their power to make this place as special as possible. That takes a lot of commitment, and a lot of people have a hard time understanding what that means. I'm hoping that non-Disney fans will watch this and get a better understanding.
That's it, 'cause I don't think. I mean, we've talked about this kind of subject ourselves before, and I think the thing is, I don't try and get people to understand. I don't see the point unless somebody wants to understand. But most people will turn around and say, "You've been there before. Why are you going there again?" or things of that nature. And I really believe you either get it or you don't, and that's it. If you believe in it, if you get that magic, it's in you. And if you don't, you don't. And you're not going to be able to convince people of that. And there's no point. But when it takes a hold of you, it really takes a hold of you.
You have to be willing to let your guard down. You have to be willing to come in here and just be a goofball if that's what you want to be. Disney is about your memories. That is what this place is fueled on. It's your memories. It's the memories of your childhood. It's the memories of your childhood, and then reliving those memories again with your family and your close friends and your loved ones. And, it's the only place that you can run around and be a kid and be respected for it, And people who come in here who don't get it, I would say to them, nobody's going to look at you funny. That's kind of part of what makes this place so special. Just try to be a kid again and try to just, that's what Walt Disney wanted, right? I mean, he wanted a place. He didn't like the fact that I can't remember what the place was, but he had brought his kids somewhere and he noticed that the adults were all sitting on park benches and the kids were all on the rides. Well, he didn't like that. He wanted the adults and the kids to be engaging together, families engaging together. And that's what you see here, and it goes well beyond that. You take this place and you go, there's groups of people and families, and they're not afraid to just have a good time and act a fool and just, Disney has a great promotion called Show Your Disney Side. And that's true. It really is true. What is your Disney side? Have some fun with it, and this is one of the only places that you could do that and really be embraced in doing that.
Guys, we should do that. We should make a video showing our Disney side. Send it to Disney.
I think Craig has done that before, actually.
Yeah.
But it was more of his Disney backside. Explain why it was never really fun.
What?
Yeah.
That ended up on the cutting room floor.
Ended up on someone's cutting room floor, that's for sure.
Tony, any plans for? I know you've only just moved to Florida, so you've probably got a lot going on. But any plans for future Disney-related projects that you could share, or is it too early?
No, I mean, look. Now that I'm down here and I have more flexibility than ever. I don't have to just kind of cram everything into 7 days. I can really be selective. I have so much stuff that I've shot that you'll never see in the documentary itself, but that I know have various other outlets. So you can expect a follow-up to the Walt Disney World, the Day in the Life of Walt Disney World time lapse that I did. For sure, a follow-up to that is coming. And then I'm not really sure what is going to be next. I just think the psychology of being down here is fascinating. You can just go up and talk to anybody, and nobody. If you were on the subway in New York City, well, maybe that's not a great example. I met my wife on the 86th Street subway in New York City, but if you were walking on the subway in New York City and you just wanted to strike up a conversation with somebody, they'd be very defensive. You walk up here in your Walt Disney World, and the person sitting next to you just strike up a conversation, and they're ready to engage with you. They want to engage with you because they feel safe. They feel safe being here because they know that everyone has chosen to be here. You're here for a reason. They know that Disney magic is special. When I was here younger, with my daughter when she was younger, I can't tell you, it was just her and I. We would come. We met this family from South Africa. Within 5 minutes, the girls, they had 2 kids. I had my daughter. Within 5 minutes, they were best friends, and we spent the whole week with them. And every time they come back to New York City, we always visited with them. So it's the kind of place where you can make friends instantly. Everybody knows it's okay. This is like the only place it's okay to really kind of have your guard down and to just to welcome people into your personal space, because we're all here for the same reason,
Sure. But if you do happen to strike up a conversation with a family from Liverpool and their name is Lucas, put yourself back on the New York subway. Act defensively.
Very
Can I say I was reluctant to say I could hear that Liverpool accent. I could hear it. I wasn't sure, but thank you for validating that for me.
Craig is your stereotypical Scouser. His voice is unbelievable. It's a shame you couldn't be here. It's a shame you couldn't be here. He's on my God normally, but if you ever hear anyone like that, it's just walk away. Scotland's fine. England is fine. Cockney, fake Essex boy voice. That's not too bad.
Oh, you mean like Dick Van Dyke's accent in Mary Poppins?
Well, you see, me and I come from the same place that but the chimney sweep comes from in Mary Poppins. So as you can tell, did you think when I first spoke to you on this podcast, you're like, oh my God, I'm speaking to young Dick Van Dyke? Because I could understand your confusion if that's what you thought when you first heard my voice.
I was a little confused at first, but now, thank goodness you clarified that for me.
Probably because I didn't ask if you wanted the chimney sweeps, Governor. But
Yeah.
otherwise.
Well, Dick Van Dyke will be the first person to tell you that his Cockney accent was just absolutely horrible.
You know what? I don't think I've ever seen him. The man is like 91 years old.
I think he's 91 or 92. Yeah, he just celebrated his birthday.
And, he's phenomenal. Even I saw that little dance he did at the Disney 60th anniversary.
I wanted to ask you guys about that. I thought when he got out there, and he had those dancers on either side of him to make sure if he tripped or fell, he would be caught. But did you see the grin on his face from ear to ear?
Yeah, that's somebody that's still a kid at heart, clearly.
He is. Let me tell you something. And you talk about Disney protecting their brand. They protect him with everything they've got, because he, and again, even though he's not owned or connected by Disney, in any way, shape, or form, he really is just the epitome of Disney magic when you look at Dick Van Dyke. And like anybody who saw that special, the Disneyland 25th anniversary or 50th anniversary special, he was just, you could just see he was just elated to be there. I just love Dick Van Dyke.
No, he's great, but the thing is, I think you made a good point there as well about Disney looking after him, because we know that it's quite a recent thing of Disney really taking good care of him, because there was a period of time when they didn't look after him very well, and they kind of pushed him a bit to the sidelines and didn't really protect him. But we did get 7 seasons of Diagnosis Murder because of it. So, beggars and choosers.
Yeah, so there are those things that we can fall back on. Absolutely, yes.
And as long as he doesn't literally fall back on any of them, that's good news. Of course, I jest. Who doesn't like the 90s cop drama starring Dick Van Dyke and his sons? Big fans. We're gonna have to wrap this up shortly, but I can't tell you how excited I am. And one thing that I did want to mention just in case. Obviously you talked about, I think more than most people that we've spoken to that have done documentaries or making films to do with Disney, you seem to have a very artistic vision that really shines through than most people. And obviously that he's not discrediting those directors and producers, because obviously everyone has an artistic vision, but with you, I think it really is the visual element that comes through. And I wondered if, obviously Disney World is going to be your new home, and you know it like the back of your hand. But have you ever come over to Europe? Because I would argue, and we've done this before as well, that Disneyland Paris's Main Street is possibly the most beautiful in any of the parks.
I have never been to Europe, though. Both sides of my family are from Italian descent. My father is from Calabria in Italy. My mother is from the region of Bari. And I have never been to Europe, and I'm sad to say that I haven't. But I have heard many beautiful things of Disneyland Paris. I'm not exact. I mean, obviously, I was in Disneyland in California back in the 80s, before Disney's California Adventure was even a thought, and had only been here. So I can't even imagine. I mean, I've only seen pictures of it, but obviously, as we all know, pictures never do justice. I always tell people when especially first timers who are watching the fireworks, try to get them to put their cameras down and just watch Wishes. Just watch the show. You can take video later. Immerse yourself in that moment. You become the moment. Very important to do so. I think we're very distracted by our devices. This is kind of a pet peeve of mine. And I'll find myself with my camera, watching the fireworks, focused on something, and I am not in the moment. I don't even feel that magic. But as soon as I put that camera down and I allow myself to focus on what I'm watching, I immediately become immersed in that moment. And, it's Disney knows how to tug on your heartstrings. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what buttons to push. And you don't feel that unless you're really paying attention. I see everybody with their cell phones up. Just, if you've never seen the show before, just wait until the next time you watch it. For the first time you watch it, just watch it without your cell phone, and just because your cell phone's never going to convey what you're looking at in real life anyway. So that's kind of a big pet peeve of mine.
Well, anyone that takes pictures of the fireworks or any of the nighttime shows or video, often, I've done this myself, looked back at those pictures afterwards and like, wow, that really doesn't capture it well at all. Like, it just doesn't. Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, when you saw it, how stunning it is. But like you say, I mean, in Disneyland Paris, we have a show called Dreams, which is they projection map animation onto the castle, turn into all kinds of different things from different films, and they play songs, and it's a beautiful show. Probably, in my opinion, the greatest nighttime spectacular at a park at the moment. But when I last went there, and it's a few years old now, so I'll give it that as well. But when we last went there earlier this year, the number of people that as soon as the show started, the iPads went up.
This is my big problem, and you can't tell people not to do that, because they, it's human nature. You want to capture what you're watching, but you haven't even seen it yet. So how can you even know what it is that you're trying to capture? It's just part of the age of technology to want to do that, and it's hard to tell somebody to do that. When I was here when my wife and daughter came, or when we were here dropping my daughter off to the Disney college program, we didn't talk too much about that, but I'm here at Hollywood Studios tonight because she gets done with work. She's working in the back lot in merchandise as part of the program. When we were here dropping her off, my wife had the camera, and she had really never been to Disney. She's not a big Disney fan, or not that she's not a big Disney fan, but she just she's not as passionate about it as I am. And I told her, I says, put your cell phone down, please, and just watch the show. She said, I'm watching it. She had the phone up in one hand, and she was watching it out of her, one eye. And I said, okay, you're not going to get it. You're just not going to get it. And I know this because a lot of times I'll be there with my camera and I'm focused on why is this thing not focusing. I'm trying to focus. I want to get this thing over here, and all these beautiful things are happening around me, and I'm not even catching it, you know. And even though I've seen like Wishes probably 100 or more times, when I'm there watching it, I want to feel that magic. You know, that's what we're all here for. And a lot of times, unless you're just really paying 100% attention, you miss it, you know, and then you're missing it in the moment, and then when you're looking at the video after, it's just not happening. So I would love to go to Disneyland Paris. I would love to see what they're doing. I'd love to see what Shanghai Disney is doing, being that they're bleeding all the money out of Florida right now. You know, they
can bleed all the money they want out of any Disney park, as far as I'm concerned. They've got a Tron roller coaster, and no one else has. So therefore, they can do whatever the hell they like.
What do they have? What do they have over there?
They've got a Tron light cycle roller coaster.
Really? I have not. Oh wow! Wow!
See? Yeah.
All right, I'm going. All right, you guys want to meet me there? I'll be there in 12 hours.
Don't go there just yet. We've still got about 85 more days before it goes live. But
So Tony, idea here for, I'm just going to throw you a pitch here for a really short video, and it's interviewing Tron fans. It's like a 2-minute segment.
Look,
we could do it now.
Look, you know what? We don't need to do this, right? Was it the last show that I confessed to almost crying like a little girl the first time I went on Snow White's Crazy Adventure? Was it that the last show?
Do they have that in Paris?
Right, and Tony, this is exactly the problem, right? Because one, this was when the park first opened. I'd never been to Disney Park before I was 9 years old. Secondly, Snow White's Scary Adventure wasn't called that in Paris. It was called something else in French. Thirdly, not only all of those things above, but also everything was in French. Therefore, the Queen was speaking to you in evil French. And I'm 9 years old, and I freaked out. I didn't know what the hell was going on. Luckily,
I mean, it's scary enough when the French speak, you know.
And they're normally shouting. But so that was the confession I did on the last show, right, to embarrass myself. Here's another one, people. Right? You for a very good jibe there, Mr. Dolan. I won't disagree with you about interviewing the only Tron fan in the world. Someone's beating you to the punch. Someone's beating you to the punch. Edith Bowman, a fellow Scottish person, actually did interview me on the live webcast of the Tron Legacy premiere in Leicester Square in London back in 2010. So there you go. She interviewed me. I had to take off my Adidas Tron trainer and talk about it with her for 4 minutes. And
well, it just goes to show you, Nick,
someone can find it. If they can
it just goes to show you there's no.
I want to hear that. I want to hear that.
I tell you what, I don't want to remember. I don't want to relive it. I've never been so cold in my life that day. I had to actually go out and buy some thermals. Ridiculous. But yeah, so if anyone, well, I tell you what, because we've got to wrap up in a minute, as I said, and if anyone does find footage of me talking about Tron to Edith Bowman, they can let us know via email at our address, which is podcast@disafterdark.com, or they can find us at www.disafterdark.com.
And we're on Facebook at facebook.com/disafterdark, and we're on Twitter as well. So let us know if you've got that clip of Nick and his trainer.
And Tony, one more time, if you could, tell everyone where we can get and when we can get your fantastic.
Yep. So if you visit dreamfindersmovie.com, that's www.dreamfindersmovie.com, and you can pre-order the movie, which is due to release May 16th, or May 15th rather. You can pre-order the movie, and if you use the promo code when you're pre-ordering New Year 2016, that's New Year 2016, you'll get $1 off. So you get this really heartfelt, passionate documentary about Disney magic and following your passion of Disney for $8.99. You know, for barely $9. And it is something that I think all Disney fans will really embrace. It's something that I have been. It's been a huge labor of love. I can't tell you how many hours I have spent just making sure everything is beautifully presented. The cinematic value was very, very important to me. Not only are we talking about the Disney magic and exploring some of these folks who came down here to live their passion, but I also wanted to make sure that people were able to visually kind of be immersed in that environment without actually being here. A lot of what the podcasters and the bloggers, what their purpose is to make people feel like, you know, give them a little bit of a taste of being in the Disney parks, even though they can't be in the Disney parks because they don't live down here. And through some incredible camera and video shots that we put together, time lapse, we really wanted to be able to convey that sense of Disney magic and that beautiful, you know, it's like when you first walk into the Magic Kingdom and you see Cinderella Castle. I just wanted to try to somehow be able to convey how beautiful that is to people who know that feeling, and even to those who don't know that feeling, who might be able to look at it and say, oh wow, I didn't realize it was something as special as that. So that's what we're trying to do, and I think that everyone will be very pleasantly surprised at how well it's done. I've been really just extremely selective in some of the shots that I'm featuring. Everything just had to be perfect, and I think you guys are gonna love it.
Perfect, Scott. I don't know any place we could end the show really, but Tony, once again, thank you so much for sitting in a Disney park, staring at Rock and Roller Coaster, and actually not jumping into the queue and just talking to us. So thank you very much.
Well, I hate to rub it in, but I have a fast pass for Rock and Roller Coaster right now. So.
and Disneyland Paris fans as well. So if anyone's going over to Disneyland Paris in the next few weeks or so after listening to this podcast, thinking, well, even I can go on Rock and Roller Coaster. Well, here's a couple of things. One, I did it about 2 months ago. Second, I've lost count. I'm drunk. Next, it's actually closed until the 17th of June. So I'm right
behind you. I'm right behind you.
I wish that was true. Tony, thank you so much. I mean, obviously, when this comes out, we will be, promoting it again for you. Cannot wait to see it, and hope it's a massive success. Yeah, that word that's like successful that begins with an S. Successful. That's the one. Thank you so much for joining us. Paul, Chris, thank you for coming on and joining me as well. Dear listener, thank you for joining, and hope you've enjoyed the show as much as we have, and we will see you in a week's time, because we're going to have the results for the next round of results and some new ones. So keep voting, and we'll come back to you in a week's time. Thank you and good night.
See you guys. Thanks, Tony.
Cheers.